It's a much of a bonus to a father that has a son, very dear to him, precious to him, and he wants to see the son's level where he's standing in two things. Number one, in terms of his wisdom and maturity and understanding. And the second is in terms of his loyalty, devotion, dedication to his father. So as long as he and his father are standing next to each other, and he's constantly providing for his needs, whatever he asks for, he gets. And they're constantly spending time together, enjoying each other. That won't show anything, won't prove anything. In order to recognize the thing that he's looking for, he hides himself from his son. He hides himself from his son, and to see how he's going to react. And he says there's two types of children, two scenarios. One is where the son, of course, is very distressed, can't find his father, and he's crying and he's searching. And where does he search? He searches in all the places that he knows his father usually goes to. Where he goes, where he walks, the paths, the roads, wherever it is that his father usually would be found, he looks there and searches and he can't find him. This goes on for a long time, till finally he gets the feeling that his father just abandoned him and he's not planning to reappear. And he starts getting feelings of despair, like losing hope. There's no point. And as a result of that, his searching and his looking is not the same as it used to be. He slowly gets calmed down. He's not crying the way he used to be. And then slowly, it gets to a point where he's totally sort of goes on with his life. He gives up. You know, this is over. It's not ever going to happen again. His father abandoned him. And this is his perception. And therefore, you won't find him crying. You won't find him in distress. He's going on with his life. So he said this is for two reasons. Number one, because he doesn't have the understanding, it doesn't really get it that it's possible that his father did this just in order to see and test his wisdom. So therefore, the only way he understands it is that his father abandoned him. He can't see beyond that point. Like we said yesterday, that Begashmis, someone is playing with the child and hiding from them. If the child is not developed enough or not smart enough, then the child starts crying. A different child is actually all excited and they realize this is a game and this is a challenge and they're searching and looking. So here's a child that doesn't have the understanding, doesn't have the depth of understanding that maybe the father is not abandoned him, but the father is just testing him. And the second thing is that this also proves and shows that where his feelings are. So I think that's what we're up to on the top of the page, Gimel, the second page, after turning the page. Maybe we should back up a little bit. Let's back to that first page, which is page 28 in the booklet. The last two lines on the page. The fact that he stopped crying, stopped searching, and basically his connection with his father is discontinued as a result of that. This comes as a result of two things. Aleph, one, miyut das hatinik, the lack of das, of understanding of this child. Shadaita ktsara, his understanding is limited. Yavin v'yakir doesn't understand, doesn't recognize that the father is only testing him. Ve'ena hester, and this concealment, shehiste atzmai, the fact that he's hiding is not really true. Not the way he thinks that it's true, and his father is hiding because he's really distancing himself from him. It's not true. It's only hiding himself Shasida love Bekiril, he wants the father will want to get back together with him again. And the father didn't distance himself from him because he hates him. He wants to test him, ladas, to know, as a shebel to see what's in his heart. So obviously the first thing is he doesn't have the understanding. Habez, the second thing, the fact that he gives up. Shaben misyayish benafshe, he gives up on this relationship in a sense, and then decides to just move on with life. That shows that his bond with his father is not as deep as it could have been. Why? If he would be connected and bound with his father in a very strong way, he wouldn't fall into a situation of despair. If the heart of this boy would be completely and totally loyal and devoted to his father, he wouldn't give up. He would continue to search. And even though his father is hidden from him, he would never fall into despair. He'd have that feeling in his heart. In other words, a heart is an expression in Yiddish, probably something similar in English. A heart feels a heart. First of all, we have the expression, which is kamayim hapanim el hapanim, that the heart reflects, is reflected by another heart, like the water reflects a face, which means just like when you look into the water, what do you see in the water? You see the face that you show to the water. If the face is a smiling face, that's what you see in the water. If it's a sad face, that's what you see in the water, which means the water reflects my face. That's how one heart reflects another heart. So therefore, his father, in essence, loves him. In fact, his father, maybe you might even say, loves him even more now that he has this distance, because the father really feels bad that he has to struggle, and he's in despair and in doubt, and he's searching and he's distressed and he's crying, but he's doing it for a purpose. So the father's love for the child is very strong. Had his connection to the father been the way it should be, he would have felt that his father did not abandon him, and his father loves him now just as much as before, if not more. So this is something much deeper, that if two people's hearts are connected, then you feel what's in the other person's heart. I know this is what? The pasuk is Kamayim Aponim El Aponim, Kain Lev Ha'adam El Ha'adam, which means just like one face reflects another face, that's how one heart reflects another heart. Do I have the pasuk here? I'm not sure. Don't think so, but I can take a look. I don't think I have it here. It reminds me of a story that happened. This happened 1964. It was Shavuos. In 1964, the situation in Russia was not what it is today. That's when it was called the Iron Curtain. And it was one big prison. And definitely for Jews, it was a very, very big prison. They weren't permitted to learn Torah, to have yeshivas, to teach children, to do mitzvahs openly. So everything had to be done underground. That was 1964. And during that time, very often by Fabrengen, the Rebbe would give a bracha specifically for the Russian Jews, that Hashem should help them, they should be able to be freed. And we'd always, or very often, sing the nigun Hashia Samecha. Sometimes the Rebbe would stand up while singing the nigun, which is unusual, all about the Russian Jews. Not only that, by Hakafis, when they would say all the psukim, They have also instituted to say the pasuk Shia Samecha for the Russian Jews. One time there was a Farbrengen, it was Shavuos, 1964, and I think the Rebbe said something about the Russian Jews, and then the Rebbe said no, and everybody's looking like, what does the Rebbe mean? The Rebbe said it again. Nobody understood what does the Rebbe want us to do. Obviously, he's not saying it. And then everyone could see clearly that Rebbe was very upset. And the Rebbe said that if everyone now would have said L'chaim for the Jews in Russia, then they all would have been able to come out. In those days, all the Jews in Russia come out was like a dream. But we see it eventually did happen. But when did it happen? It happened at the end of the 1980s. This was 1964, more than 20 years earlier. Apparently, it was a moment of an opportunity, a window of opportunity opened in heaven, and the Rebbe saw. But obviously, the Rebbe is not allowed to reveal everything that he sees. So all the Rebbe was doing was hinting to us, no. Nobody realized it.
I couldn't even have said it. Let's say L'chaim.
Apparently, I'll explain it with another story. There's a story with a Maggid Mizrich that he had a student who was one of the very big rabbis. His name was Aaron of Karlin. And he was visiting, and then came time to go home. So he went into the Maggid to say goodbye. And he's going home. As soon as he left the Maggid's room, he called one of the students and he said to them, do everything you can to convince him to stay, but don't tell him it's coming from me. Okay? So they go out and they talk to him, we get into a conversation. Why are you leaving? Stay longer. And he says, no, I stayed my time already. I went into the Rebbe and I said goodbye. And they couldn't get him to agree to stay. So the Rebbe told them, don't say it's coming from me. So they tried to hint that it's coming from the Rebbe. He didn't believe them. I was just by the Rebbe. Okay, I'll go in again to see. He goes in again, tells the Rebbe that he's leaving, and everything is as if this is the right thing to do, just leave. As soon as he walks out, the Rebbe calls them again and says, try to do everything you can to stop him from going in. It's happened a few times. Till finally he said to them, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I was by the Rebbe a few times already. It's clear that he's not asking me to stay, and I'm going home. And he went. Shortly after he went, he passed away. Which means had he, obviously we don't understand these things, but it meant, had he not gone then, at that time, and his trip home would have been delayed, something he would have sort of passed over a certain time of gevura, of judgment, and it would have been okay. But so of course they were all broken. They came back to the Rebbe and they asked him, why couldn't you say clearly that it's from you, and or even to say, you see that this is not a good time for him to go home. There's no doubt that he would have stayed. So he told them there's a pasuk in Chumash where Hashem says about Moshe Rabbeinu, B'chol Beisi Nemanu, that Moshe Rabbeinu is a trusted servant. And the question is, what does it mean, a trusted servant? In a king's palace, you need people that are honest and you can trust. They're not going to steal any gold. They're not going to steal any silver. That's a trusted servant. But with Hashem, what does it mean, trusted servant? The answer is, there's another trust that you need. In a palace, in a king, in any government, there are a lot of sensitive information that's only allowed to be known by the top people in government. And if it leaks out, it could undermine the government, as we see, people are trying to do today, to leak out very sensitive information. And sometimes through this, you can actually create a war and all sorts of things. So what it means that Moshe Rabbeinu was trusted, he knew everything that's going on up there, what's being decreed in heaven, about everything and everybody, but nevertheless, he wasn't able to reveal it because he was trusted that he sees this, he knows this, but he's not allowed to share this with people here. So the Maggid basically explained to them that there's things that he knows, but he's not allowed to share. So even the fact that he was getting them to do something and alluding to it was also probably pushing it a little bit and stretching it more than what he was permitted to do, but it didn't help. So that's the general rule, that it can't be revealed. How did we get to talk about this? Remind me, how did we get off? Which exit did we go off? What? Oh, the Russian Jews, right. So the Rebbe said that we could have taken all the Jews out of Russia.
Why would the Rebbe then reveal to the Siddim that like they only have to do one thing? Like, what's the point of knowing that?
That's number one. Number two, the question is, it appeared that the Rebbe expected of us to figure that out. How could he expect it of us to figure it out? This is things going on in Shemayim, in the heavenly court, and these are things that only tzaddikim know. But the way the Rebbe was so annoyed, was like, why didn't you get it? So there was an older chassid. He was probably one of the biggest chassidim in our generation. His name was Rabbi Nemanov, who lives in France. So he said that if we were truly, truly connected to the Rebbe the way we should be, we would have felt and sensed what it is that he wants. And that's what he's saying in the Maimer. When two hearts are connected, then one heart feels the other heart, and definitely feels the love of the other heart. So of course, this is at a much higher level, but nevertheless, what he's saying is that the father loves the child. Everything he's doing is only for the benefit of the child, and he wants to develop something within the child, but not abandon him, not hate him, chas v'shalom. So therefore, if the child would have been truly connected, he would have felt that his father's heart is with him, even though he can't see him. That's the second thing. So now he's going to describe the second scenario. So now we're at the line that begins with the word Elov, which is about 10 lines from the top. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, missed it by 2. 8 lines from the top. The way it should be is by the other son, which is smarter. Ben Chacham V'Nema, a son that's both smart, and his degree of loyalty and connection is also much deeper. With all his heart. Shemaskil, he gets it. He understands Advara Hester regarding this concealment that the father is hiding. She'eino yamiti, it's not really true. Meaning it's not because he hates him and not because he abandoned him and he doesn't want to see him. He's hiding for a purpose. Begami chapsenu tam, it'll also run around looking for him and searching for him. B'chol darkei Yoav, he'll be searching in all the paths and roads where the father normally is found. And if he doesn't find him, he's not going to be crying. And he wouldn't say, I give up. I give up. I can't believe it. My father abandoned me and left me. He will know that it's just a matter of me eventually finding him. Adrabah. He will continue to search for him with all his heart. And he will search for him in all the roads and all the paths where the father normally walks there. Follow his father's footsteps. In those roads and those paths, that the father normally walks on those paths. He's also going to walk on those paths. And all the places where his father used to be found. Shama, he's going to go there, whether it's at the shul, whether it's a certain marketplace, whether it's an office. He knows these are the places where he usually is, and he'll keep looking in those places. And if he doesn't find his father, he'll still be besimcha. And muftach, he is absolutely confident, being that he's following his father's footsteps. He's going in his father's path. Vadai, certainly at a certain point, he'll find him. And if he finds his father, which means he sees him from very far away, he can recognize this is his father. When you know someone well, you can recognize them from the back. Yelech achrav, he'll go after him, even though Layira Pnei he can't see his father's face, Mikorav, he's not close, but he sees him from the distance. He will go behind him, from very far away. V'yagol v'yismach bazel, be very excited, as if he sees him face to face. Mamish. Because he knows that drachim halolum, that these paths, this is the father's path. So for sure, I'm going to find him at the end of this road, or the end of this path. So he makes an effort to run. He only sees him from the back. Again, every detail here is a mashal for Hashem and Golus. Now, when the father sees how the son is so making such an incredible effort to search for him in all his paths, and he sees him from the back, and to him that makes him strong. He's not giving up. So by seeing that, he sees Gaidul is Kashrusai Hanemona. He sees how connected he is, that his loyalty runs very deep. That he's running to catch up to him, even in the darkness. Even if he doesn't see his father in those paths. Even though he doesn't see his face. So how does the father feel when he sees this unconditional love and unconditional devotion and dedication and trust that he has in his father? What happens to the father is that he is aroused with Abba Rabba Bekifli Kiflayim Mikmei Shaili Betchila Lebnei. He has a sensation in his heart of love for this child, which is twice as much or much more than what he had before. Because now he sees how much the child loves him, and how much the child is loyal to him, and how much the child has trust in him. And at that point, the father could no longer contain himself. And he reveals himself to him from this hiding place. He sees him, he shows him his face, and his face is radiating. You can see that he has this deep love for him. And he has a love, such love that it cannot be contained in a vessel. He'll hug him and kiss him more than the norm. Like a father who is playing with his young child and kisses him over and over because his love can't be contained. So too, it won't suffice just kissing him one time. Has so much love for him and so precious to him. The Gam Khan, so here too, he loved this child before also. In other words, it's not that now he loves him, he loved him before. When he was hidden from him, he was hiding that love, which means in a certain sense for the father was also very difficult. He loves his child and he can't come out openly because he's in the process of doing this particular test. This holding back his love when he was hidden, after seeing this unconditional connection that the son has to the father through this test, and we see that his heart is loyal to search for him with all his heart and all his soul, even when he's so hidden. When they do meet face to face, Yavei ha'av the kalas pilus abba rabba. The father will be feeling so much emotion. He will kiss him again and again because his love can't be contained. In general, when you're distant from someone that you love, there's a certain level of love that rises to the surface that normally a person doesn't feel. Unfortunately, we're dealing with it right now. You can imagine that any of their loved ones is held hostage. Besides the fact that they'll do everything in the world to save their life and whatever, there's a certain thing which is the love that they feel for each other at that time is something which is doesn't and would never come up in normal circumstances. It's only because they're separated from each other and because they really have that love for each other. That's, of course, a different situation, and this is a different situation, but the principle is the same principle, that the distance actually breeds a greater love, especially when, as a result of this distance, the father has a whole new level of admiration and appreciation of his son and his son's love for him. But this all comes as a result of the distance, of the fact that it was hidden from him. So hine Abba Rabbazu, this great love, sheyatza begolu ata, that comes out now in the open, achre hanasayin, after the test, b'richuka mimenu, when he was far from him. This love comes mepnimius v'atzmos oimik halev. It comes from a very deep, deep place in the heart. Harbe yoser, much more, when the feeling that he had in his heart, be'ez hakiruv, when they were close. So when they were close, they also had this love for each other, obviously, but it was a limited kind of a love. And when they go through this process of being distant and then recognizing how much love they have for each other, the son sees that his father loves him, and the fact that he's distant means nothing. The father sees how much the son loves him, the fact that he's distant means nothing. So that distance actually creates a deeper love. It's not that it creates, the love is there, but that love that's there doesn't normally surface. And under these circumstances, a much, much deeper love surfaces as a result of that distance. Had they been together the whole time, that level of love could never surface. So basically, this is a mashal for the whole meaning of Golus, but this is the mashal the Alter Rebbe is talking about, that when there's a distance, actually a greater level of love will come out. And that's what a nisayon is. A nisayon basically means something's happening. We're on the surface, the way we perceive it is Hashem is hiding from me. And many people feel that way, God forbid. Hashem has abandoned me. He did this to me, did that to me. And as a result of that, some people who are weaker, they just give up. And they say, if that's the case, I don't want to have any part of it. And they sort of discontinue their relationship with Hashem. On the other hand, the person that doesn't fall for this test, they don't fail the test, they actually stand up strong. They realize this is from Hashem. He did not abandon me. There's a deeper reason why he's doing this. And I, therefore, don't allow myself to be weakened by this and to give up on my relationship with Hashem. Then not only I'm not going to lose that relationship, but I'm going to develop a connection to Hashem, which is infinitely stronger than the one that we had before. So this is what he said before in different words, and here it's explained in a different way, but the principle is the same. Before he said that the higher something is, the lower it falls. So the godly spark in a nisayon, which is something which aggressively opposes godliness, the godly spark that gives life to that is from a very high place. So if I stand up to the test, which means I sort of push away whatever is blocking, I push away that curtain, I push away the concealment, and I allow what's behind it to be revealed, what's going to be revealed is a level of godliness which comes higher than even the godliness in mitzvahs, and higher than the godliness in Torah. Of course, it sounds bizarre to say such a thing, that the godly light in a Nisayan, which is someone out there and something out there that's opposing godliness, comes from a higher source. But that is one of the most basic fundamental principles in Kabbalah and in Chassidus, and it's based on the fact that everything comes from Hashem. So therefore, even something which is the lowest of the lowest, and something which is absolutely evil of the worst kind, it has to have in it a spark of godliness. And in there, the spark of godliness comes from the highest place. So if a person has an Nisayan, that's considered the worst in terms of concealment. Something is aggressively fighting Hashem or fighting the godliness in me. And by me overcoming it, I'm allowing what's hidden there to be revealed, because I'm in a sense, in my mind, I'm revealing it. I'm saying to myself, this is not a true concealment. Hashem is not really abandoning me. Hashem is not really hiding himself from me. He's not removing himself from me. On the contrary, he wants me and him to become closer. So that means I'm revealing what's really behind this concealment. So the concealment is sort of lifted, and what's behind it is revealed. And I'm the one that absorbs that godly light because I'm the one that revealed it. And that godly light is able to raise me to a much higher spiritual level, because the godly spark in a Nisayan is from a greater place than the godly spark in food and anything else that we have.
Rabbi Majeski, are you not supposed to cry out? Like, it's saying that in the two different scenarios, there's one boy that's crying, another boy isn't. Like, are we supposed to be crying out?
No, there's a different kind of crying. First of all, in today's day and age, we're supposed to do everything with bitachon. But I'm saying, even when they were years ago, when there was so much emphasis on crying, but the crying wasn't that because I feel Hashem abandoned me. The crying was doing tshuva. In other words, I feel that Hashem wants me to do these things, so whatever is negative should be taken away. But so I was crying about myself, that I need to improve, but not crying that I believe that Hashem has given up on me, and he's doing this because he's so upset with me that he's beating me up. That image is not really a Jewish image. Even though in Chumash it says Hashem is angry or Hashem takes revenge. So these are all metaphors. First of all, anger, revenge, these are all things that we're taught that they're negative character traits. So how can we apply them to Hashem? What it means is like everything else, that something is happening which is similar to what happens when a person is angry, when a person is taking revenge, when a person is this way or that way. But it's not chas v'shalom that Hashem has all these negative character traits that the Torah itself rejects completely. But this is the feeling a person has, that Hashem hates me, he doesn't like me. You hear people talk like that. Look what he's doing to me. That's the crying which is not acceptable. But when the crying is that I feel bad that Hashem is hidden from me, and yet it's true, it's for a purpose, but I still want to, it doesn't matter that it's for a purpose, I still want to be face to face with him. That's a different kind of crying. That's permissible. So basically, on a very large scale, that's what the whole Gullus is all about. The whole purpose of Gullus is not Hashem taking revenge, Hashem getting back at us because we did this, that, or the other thing. The whole purpose of Gullus is to lead to something which is going to be eternal bliss, eternal happiness, eternal goodness, begashmius, beruchnius. So this is on a larger scale, but it's the same idea, that actually a greater level of love is going to be revealed as a result of this distance. And our avodah is to recognize that it's not abandonment, and it's not hate, and it's not the opposite. Yeah.
Is it possible that all these tests, and even with what we see with the hostages, and all these different things that happen to us personally, is the reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he does it so that we should cry out to him? because otherwise, what do we cry out to? It only comes to when you're really suffering, that's when you ask, where are you, Hashem? Is it possible that that is, I mean, it's a horrible way to think that that's the way it must be done, but is that possible? This is why he does it, so that we should look for him. Otherwise, we look for this aid and this help, and we're supposed to look for him.
That's exactly what it says here. Yeah. That's what he said. We're supposed to look for him, meaning to say, I have to look to strengthen my connection with him. But the biggest part of the test, that the passing the test, is recognizing that it's only a test. Recognizing that this is Hashem, and he's behind everything that happens, and it's happening for a purpose which is supposed to be bring a greater bracha. It doesn't mean chas v'shalom that I want this to happen or I'm happy that it's happening, because what's happening is concealment. It just means that it should bring a person should realize that the purpose. First of all, let's not talk about hostages for a moment, because these things are it's so overwhelming that you can't talk about the test that we have to deal with. There's something which is interfering with my davening, with my learning, with my doing a certain mitzvah, whether it's something internal, whether it's a relative, a friend, these kind of tests. Like you say, if I want to do Torah mitzvahs, why does Hashem send me this message from a relative or a friend making fun and putting me down and all that? Why can't it just be smooth and easy? And the answer is that the purpose of the test is to raise me to a higher place, to bring out deeper depth of what I have, deeper potential, should bring that up to the surface. That's the purpose. And if I recognize that, that's exactly what's going to happen. Like I said the other day about the homework. The child that doesn't understand that the mother is giving them homework, the mother doesn't want to do the homework for them, is not because she hates him. It's because she, on the contrary, she feels that this is necessary for his development, and she loves him. And when that child is going to get older, they'll look back and they'll appreciate what their mother did. And they'll realize that the other mother who did all the homework for their child actually ruined their child. But at the moment, the child feels, my mother hates me. So the main thing is to recognize that this is not abandonment, and it's not, that's what he means when he keeps saying it's not a true concealment. True concealment means that Hashem is really, truly removing himself from me. No, this is Hashem actually trying to bring out within me a deeper connection to him. It's like Avraham Avinu when he was brought to the test of the Akedah. Why would Hashem ask him to sacrifice his son? I mean, does it mean he hates him? That's what it sounds like. That's what he would think. He didn't think that way at all. Of course, he thought this is what Hashem wants him to do. But at the end, what does it say in the Chumash? Now I know that your fear of Hashem is so much greater than what it was. In other words, when he did this, when he was ready to do this, it brought out in him such a level of love and fear of Hashem that was never there before. Because in ordinary circumstances, you can't experience such strong feelings of love and fear of Hashem. Okay. Of course, these are things that are not easy to understand, not because you don't understand them, but because emotionally they're very difficult to handle. But again, let's not think about all the heavy stuff. We can apply it at least to things in life that we could relate to on a personal level. I heard this from many people, that after they decided to do certain things in Yiddishkeit we knew before, that's when they had such tests that they never had before. I remember somebody was once speaking that he finally made a decision to keep kosher. It was a big struggle. It went on for months, and he finally made the decision to keep kosher. And then he was invited to speak somewhere, and I think his plane had to make an emergency landing, and wherever he stopped off, there was no kosher food. And he just made the decision to keep kosher. Why does it have to happen now? So it looks like, I guess, Hashem, you're not happy with my decision? What are you doing to me? And the answer is no. The purpose is to bring out a deeper level of devotion and commitment in this mitzvah that he chose. To be continued.
Thank you.
Do you want this one? Well, I'm finding some for my use, if you're having that, using that, no, not personal, no, there's no. Every day, I mean. I can find it. Okay, you just put that there, let me get through it.